Sorry, I'm late. I think I'm gonna order myself ice water before we start. Okay.
The guy that I mentioned to get out, you know, I bumped into him and he like, he's so friendly, I literally could barely look at him. I just think, oh, busy summer dawn, but you've got a lot of coursework to write. At the beginning I thought she was
and I accept that replacement. I said to the people,
There's gonna be a lot of confusion over the name of the author, who's in fact me. But as you can see, it's a female pseudonym. I aimed and targeted the 35 to 65-year-old female demographic group. Questions may be raised. I tried to use some foresight, knowing my daughter, 7 years old, just about to turn 7, will blossom into that age group in due time, when I hope she really understands my book.
That's when they did, you know, your parents switched to
The elder female characters, Volga, Janet, Mother Laureate. One is a school teacher from Cornishire. Changed the name, there is no Cornishire. One is a ex-model turned scout, then animal rights activist slash environmentalist. Vienna and Neon Light and Nurse Nivea are for the younger female reader. As I said, Nivea is a radiographer who in actual life I did meet, become friends with, and share my flat with for a period of time. And that flat was truly based in SE1, Seattle. She was a nurse at King's College Hospital, not far. Where after breaking my legs, I spent 2.5 weeks of 6 weeks and decided to discharge myself against her advice. It's fair to say we became friends. She noticed I had no visitors being from another city. And people on the ward staff were curious as to why not. So they made inquiries. In the book, it unraveled into storylines in your life. She was just a nurse who was friendly and young, and we spoke a lot since I never had any visitors. I think you'll like how I took that friendship, however brief, and developed it into a major storyline that ends 2/3 into the book It's a 600-page book. I drew one of my elder characters, Janet, who should satisfy the more worldly, mature woman in after Vienna and Nick separated after Vienna's trial for murder, in which she was found guilty. The circumstances under which they meet are very romantic. Obviously tried to make a lot of incidents in the book exotic for the sentimentalists out there, because I'm a sentimentalist. If there was a league of sentimentalists, I'll be in the top flights, I'll be in the top few. So I use the word sentimentality and romance interchangeably. My name is Sean Nicholson. On Facebook, I'm Sean Flux. I also have a Facebook page called Celine Flux, who is the pseudonym I chose for my book entitled Sit-Ups and Super Sex, which, by the way, is supposed to remind one, subtitle is Metafictional Ventilations of Times Aligned in Passion's House. Reading that after the title, the main title, one is supposed to recover thoughts of thinking woman's Sex in the City, and not psychosexual, submissive engagements and entanglements which are so popular currently in August 2012, where we are now. Seattle has a spiritual experience which was a vehicle to allure to my spiritual search. Eastern philosophy is sweeping across cosmopolitan London, so it's not uncommon to find a female who looks after herself engaged in hatha yoga, or taking it one step further, asatanga yoga. I played with a lot of words. That was a rule of hip-hop I transferred into my style of writing. So I challenge the reader to get used to my style of writing, because when you do, you'll enjoy the book more. There ain't nothing like it out. I come from a line of intellectual rap where back then it was a competition. Be you famous or not,
if they were the working class,
to sound as deep and academic and scholarly as possible, where I find myself reading ancient European history, and books like The Elegant Universe, and taking words from there and putting them into my lyrics to sound so intellectually thirsty. That was a phase of hip hop. It's changed to the bling bling and the gangster rap and the ultimately short-lived message of the rappers that came of that era. When I was young, Public Enemy swept me up. And they had questions at a time when Mandela was still in jail and the Berlin Wall was still up. And there was a climate of fans demanding, and I'm quite sure this exists in literature as well, that the artist reveals themselves instead of acting super hard, which is repulsive, I assume, to the type of person that would buy sit-ups and supersets. Metafictional ventilation. I did ventilate. That's a term used in psychiatry. I do have a psychoanalysis. Therefore, it affects my language. Like the books you read affect your language. So sometimes I call my book a romantic comedy written in psychobabble, which is supposed to attract or at least raise an eyebrow, since self-help books are popular too, and there's a lot of sections relating to self-help in popular female media, like e-magazines and such. I seized upon that during my research, which wasn't actually research because I had a genuine interest in Cosmo and Grazia, and you know, at the surgery, I would pick up those books, and on the train, say magazines, on the train, I would pick up those magazines and take them home and go through them. For some reason, Cosmopolitan London is style obsessed, health obsessed, well-being obsessed, class obsessed. Like all world major metropolises are. Another thing that caught my socially aware eye. The activities of, for example, Westminster Village, where the ruling elite or the ruling classes dwell there and in Whitehall and make the news daily, make up the majority of the news, and I pay attention. And world-class universities too. I'm sure there's institutions, I'm quite convinced there is institutions in King's College Library that are educational, and London does have world-class traditional universities. whose personnel make the news every other day. A headline will say, and scientists say, and every day a politician will make the news, or a political idea being thrown back, and the political mechanisms I pay attention to, along with personnel of the academic classes who have rubbed off on me and rubbed off into my writing. So for me to simply write a chick lit novel would be, forgive me for saying, too easy. I had to make it more meaty. I had to put stuff more substantial in it. For I found books that last generations have treasure within them. From 26, I was rapping, stage diving, with the microphone in my mouth, climbing to the highest bass bin. Those bass bins stacked above each other, and I'd be diving off trying to give the crowd what they want. Ultimately, UK hip-hop doesn't pay the bills. At one point, you imagine yourself as a venture capitalist, and that venture capitalist not seeing the numbers that he wants to see. So I started, as you know, with another band of society, the corporate class. So I thought, one more try before I end up as a security guard or washing pots or doing what those who daydreamed their way through school, because that's what most artists did. They daydreamed through school and walked in blind men's shoes. Ended up smoking weed through my 20s and had the activities of a teenager in my 20s. I, approaching 30, took stock of my life and transformed my activities. It's okay for some, but being on tour and living the life, being hungover the next day, on your way to the next town in the MPV, with the tour manager and the DJ arguing over what went wrong during the last set, and you put in your 2 pennies worth and relationships descending. Meanwhile back home, where you could be possibly in Weymouth, Bournemouth, Plymouth, Southampton, could be in Aberdeen, could be in Dundee, could be in Belgium, Antwerp, Brussels, be in Germany, Munich, Düsseldorf, Berlin. In the name of your chosen art form, going as hard as you can, giving it your best, all the while at home, knowing your life's a mess. At 30-year-old, 30, you take stock. Doesn't everybody? And start taking a scientific look at one's life, so one monitors one's transition and analyzes the data like a scientist would. I have a scientific mind. Doesn't everybody? Apparently not. And based on that data, results are concluded and changes are made based on results. So it's time, if you're thinking scientifically, to apportion a period of time and try something else for that period of time and measure that data stream and compare the two streams of data and see which one brings the best results. That's what I did, and that's how I came to the stage that I'm at now. Not going to the studio to get stoned with a lethargic face. All the activities of the entertainment industry on the ground I no longer partake in, to the point where I disagree fundamentally with almost all of my semi-acquaintances of that bracket. And occupy no man's land where intellectual campaigns just because you're thirsty and physical pursuits and appreciation of the smaller things, placing value over things that you once held highly. 180 U-turn on them. So now I look opposite to how I did look 10 years ago, and I speak oppositely to how I spoke 10 years ago. That's not true, because as I said, I was always into a certain strand of rap music. It has different branches, and my branch was of where the artists like Eminem, for example, or Joe Budden, I was on that strand where the artist had to reveal himself, reveal his vulnerability, reveal his personal life, and not talk about how much guns he's got and how much diamonds he's got in his chain. I'm not from that school. These were transferable skills when it came to writing. The author, in a clandestine method, revealing oneself on a certain layer, on a certain sphere of activity. There are many spheres and many layers to my book. Many, and I operate on all of them differently, independent agendas, all in a mainstream storyline. So to learn more, you could go to www.celineflux.co.uk. Since the book's done, I haven't stopped writing. I'm an essayist too, and I write blogs too. My latest blog which I thought was quite humorous. It began with, have you noticed how certain chocolates and ice creams are aimed at women? And when you watch the advert, it stars the type of model, actress that you know isn't gonna sit there and eat a bar of, and I say the name, Galaxy. She isn't gonna sit there and eat. She ain't gonna think to herself, I'm gonna choose myself a Magnum ice cream. I'm gonna choose myself a sugary yogurt because it's marketed at so-called beautiful people. If you've seen the film romantic comedy Friends with Benefits, starring Justin Timberlake, it reminded me of my book. It was so cosmopolitan, it was so NYC, it was so Manhattan, wasn't it? Therefore, my book is so Zone 1. It's so London. It's so Metropolis. So happening. For people who revere style, health, class, grammar, etiquette. There's no denying it. These stratas of society exist in London. There's no point in denying it. And in closing, I'll leave you with, I'm not that dude, and I haven't been since I was 17. And thinking about it, my mom I never came from that household straight out of a Shameless episode. Shame and guilt, I'm familiar with. They're no strangers to me. But some people are fortunately shameless. Well, we're hey for them. Because I'm not. I guess that's stereotypical of an artist. Right? And I'm not scared to use the word artist. A book is a work of art, and my grand opus is yet to be done. For the right publisher, I will create an opus. I have data to go on. Upper middle class girlfriend of 5 years and a baby mother who's from criminal classes, and I was there with her, but I've gone through a growth spurt, and that's for sure. And all that is documented. So my 10 years of music, which was modestly successful, I met a lot of trendies who did go to university and who had their rich parents out in Windsor, out in Tunbridge Wells, out in the Shires, which is yet another strata of London society. So consider what I've said, you know, give you some thought, and you now know the author isn't a middle class student who's neurotic, emotional, and cries every day. But I'm going to maraud online as that author, Celine Flux. So consider yourself one of the lucky ones. So salute. Here's to my achievement and getting this far regarding progression in life. Philosophical by nature. And have a nice water out there. And to my other people, put down the spliff, pick up a book.